Hi, I'm impressed that you have made it to this conclusion and bonus lesson. The message I've been trying to put across here is that point of view is only a small and optional technique among many ways of getting the reader to feel involved in the events of your story and in the lives of your characters. That the optimal way of achieving that involvement is to combine many techniques into a complex and somewhat messy process that you steer by instinct and feeling. Because this is art, not engineering. Because storytelling is social, not mechanical. If you want to progress as an author, you have to abandon the idea that there are various rules to follow and techniques to apply, and that if you do each one right, you will have written a good book. It simply isn't true. If you want to progress as an author, you have to accept that parts of the creative process will seem mysterious until you have accumulated enough experience to see the simplicity behind the mystery, but that other parts of the process will always be mysterious, even when you know how to do them. I often describe fiction as art and craft combined. Craft because there are craft-like elements, but maybe it's because the craft that I learned the youngest, woodworking and cabinet making, is exactly the same type of collision. The tools that you work with are very precise. A plane is a mechanism. You have to understand its construction to be able to use it effectively, and you also have to know how to set it up and how to maintain it. There are various designs of plane, various styles, and the quality of the machining on the underside of the foot can vary from one manufacturer to another, and the quality of the steel of the blade can mean the difference between being able to plane oak and only being able to plane pine. But there's a lot more to using the plane than that. You may or may not be aware that every piece of wood is different. Not only will different types of wood respond differently to the plane, two ends of the same plank will respond differently, quite beside working around the knots and twists. But there's a lot more to using the plane than that. Even basic smoothing, the removal of saw marks from your pieces of timber, requires significant strength in the torso and the arms. It requires a proper stance and posture. It takes time and practice to develop this. Your body has to learn, however, that possessing the necessary muscular strength will not overcome the mercurial variations in grain that mean that every gesture with the plane, every stroke, is subtly different. George Farah, my first school woodwork teacher, worked on the building of wooden airframes of mosquitoes during World War II. He wrote a poem that was prompted by a trip to the museum. There he had seen a wooden sarcophagus found in a tomb in ancient Egypt. There was a chip at one of the corner joints that he instantly recognized as the result of a chiseling error, an unavoidable error caused by a sudden change in the direction of the grain. He recognized the exact sensations that the Egyptian carpenter had felt in his hands, in his joints, in his muscles. He knew the thoughts and feelings of the Egyptian at that exact moment of the slip. A close human-to-human connection conveyed across 4 millennia by a shared understanding of cause and consequence. If you want your reader to care about your characters, that is what you're aiming for. A close human-to-human connection, fellow feeling, common understanding. Nothing can convey it more effectively than shared experience. Ultimately, your goal should be to give the reader the sensation of sharing your character's experiences. And the purest, most vital, and most effective way to do this is the vividness of your description of the causes and the consequences. The techniques that I've described briefly in these lessons are part of that process. No one technique can convey the richness of human connections on its own. No one technique can help you to understand the process. But take all of them together, and eventually you will understand the grain, and your muscle memory will feel how to show the reader how the grain feels beneath your hands and beneath the plane. You've been watching the conclusion to my lesson in all of the techniques in bringing the reader and the character closer together. This is a course which focuses on why authors use point of view along with other techniques, and what authors ought to learn and what I think they ought to understand about using point of view and using other techniques around this. I hope what I've told you in this clip is sufficiently compelling that you will check out the course in the links below. Thanks for watching.